Good morning, Terry. Good morning.
Good morning. I'm going to finish up my notes real quick so I hit the right points.
So I can barely hear you.
Is that better now?
A little bit.
Okay. Let's see. I'll work on that.
Good morning, Rachel. So the link I sent you now has my name in your box, so you may want to go ahead and change your title. And Pascal, how's the sound check for me?
Hang on just one second, please.
There we go. Now I can actually hear everybody.
Is mine better now?
Yes, absolutely.
All right. I'll finish my note.
You're gonna have to remember to look up at the camera instead of down at the laptop.
So I do have some difficulties in getting the YouTube stream up and running, but what it is recording. So what we can do is just start the the webinar as soon as we have our CAL FIRE representative on here. We're still waiting for our CAL FIRE rep to join us. I'm gonna try and text. I'm right now not getting a response back from CAL FIRE. So Allison, should we just start it?
Yes, Pascal, let's go ahead and start. And then Shannon, I'll have you go first on the panel. So good morning, Nevada County. Thank you for joining us on this very important town hall where we will be providing you an update on the Jones fire. I want to start out by thanking the community for your responsiveness and for following the evacuation orders. And thank you for the overwhelming support for our firefighters and first responders who are out in the field literally in triple degree heat, keeping our community and neighborhoods safe. The active engagement from our community is key to our success in an emergency. So this morning, our panelists, Chief Estes will be joining us soon. Nevada County Consolidated Fire District Fire Marshal Terry McMahon, Nevada County Sheriff Shannon Moon, Nevada County Emergency Operations Center Coordinator Lieutenant Bob Jacobs, and Nevada County Social Services Director Rachel Roos. So thank you, Ubinet, for hosting a town hall today, and to all our media partners for helping share information to the public. So at this point, I'm going to go ahead and hand it over to Sheriff Moon. Thank you.
Thank you, Allison. And literally the same comments, Ubinet. Thank you so much for keeping all of us connected and making sure we get out a very consistent, but also a very timely message to our community. So the Jones fire, Monday morning, early morning, fortunately we had some Sheriff's Office staff that were really able to join at the hip with our fire partners and really start looking at the impacts of what a terrain-driven, remote, very steep canyon fire coming up right there out of that Jones Bar area. We had staff really making sure that we were connected with the information, trying to get as much information as we could out at the time. The reality of it is working in collaboration with our fire partners is extremely critical. And we've done a lot of training in the last couple of years, and literally the last, this whole campaign with being prepared. And we really, have to implement some of those plans right now. So, getting our incident command with our sheriff's office, the partners that we have in the local area with our municipalities, our Grass Valley Police Department, Nevada City Police Department, huge impacts for them on depending on where this fire goes. The help we have from the California Highway Patrol and the California State Parks has been critical during this last couple of days. We've reached out for mutual aid, not only for the assistance with affecting some of the orders that we've put out in Joint Command, but also with those roving patrols. Because once we start evacuating folks, I've been personally evacuated in the past. My family on this particular fire has been evacuated. You're always wondering, how your property is and making sure that it's safe. So we've got a lot of roving patrols, mutual aid from a lot of agencies up and down the state. The resource draw for fire is the same with law. We've got a lot of communities affected by fire right now. So we appreciate the mutual aid response. We've had response from sheriff's offices up and down Sacramento, Placer, Calaveras, Tuolumne. Reached out and I had conversations with Yuba and El Dorado. We're all kind of making sure we have the resources that we need. And looking at where our evacuation plans are, we're going to have Lieutenant Jacobs talk specifically about some of the dashboard and what we can put out, and just really looking forward to hearing some comments and questions from the community and what we can do to help put out this information is what I'm hoping we can accomplish tonight or this morning.
So Pascal, I have Chief Estes who's joining me in my office, and so I'll go ahead and I'll have him introduce himself. Thank you, Pascal.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Allison, and good morning, everyone. I can't echo Sheriff Moon's comments more. This has been an extremely dynamic incident over the last 48 to 72 hours. And really, as the sun rose this morning under a thick blanket of smoke that is covering most of Nevada County in our neighboring counties, what we're facing right now is truly a siege type of situation across Northern California. We have large active fires burning in Nevada, in Butte, in Sonoma, in Lake, in Napa, in Tehama, and multiple counties in the central and southern part of the state. Our resources are extremely depleted right now between state and local resources. But this fire here, the Jones fire, is still very much a priority to the state of California and to the coordinating groups. And the reason for that is because of the continued threat of this fire to our communities here in both unincorporated and incorporated areas within Nevada County. The work that went in the first 48 hours on this fire with all our allied agencies being in unified command with state parks, with Nevada County Consolidated Fire District, and with the Nevada County Sheriff's Office has been instrumental in our success to this point. The Jones fire is currently sitting at 675 acres. We're still at 5% containment. And really it's because we're really trying to get down into the bottom of that canyon and secure those lines down there before we're comfortable calling our containment percentages any higher. We did have some spot fires and some trouble in the late afternoon yesterday that kept us at that 5% containment. Sheriff Moon and Lieutenant Jacobs will talk specifically about the evacuations, but we've had a combined effort from both aviation, ground resources, from our local agencies, and state resources from all over the region that have just been doing an amazing job. So I want to, thank the County of Nevada, the staff here at the Rood Center. We are going to be moving our base camp over to the Nevada County Fairgrounds, and that's purely just because we've got parking issues, and we're trying to logistically take care of hundreds of firefighters, and we just need a little bit more breathing room. So, but I can't express my thanks to Allison, the Board of Supervisors, and the staff here at the Rood Center for your cooperation and help. And it's my pledge to all of our residents here in Nevada County that this is a top priority, this fire, and it will remain until we get 100% containment. So thank you.
And can we maybe switch to who wants to go next? Bobby, you want to go next and talk a little bit about the OAS? What is going on at OAS?
Absolutely. Pascal, can you hear me okay? Okay, great.
Perfectly.
Lieutenant Bob Jacobs with the Sheriff's Office here in Nevada County. I'm your Emergency Operations Coordinator and EOC Director. Yeah, I want to touch on evacuations, but first I want to put a shout out to everybody working here in Nevada County government. Our Emergency Operations Center is staffed with individuals from a number of different departments throughout your county. And I just want to say that I've never been so impressed with a group of people in my entire life. These people are working an average of 15-hour days right now, making sure that they do everything that they can to support the efforts of the first responders that are out there on the front lines, keeping everybody safe. So I do appreciate that. We have a wonderful team of folks in here that are working as hard as they can to keep everybody supported and to keep that public information flowing at a rate that's responsible and get you the most accurate information possible. I want to touch on evacuations. It was mentioned that there may be some confusion out there as far as some of the language revolving around evacuations. So I just want to touch on that real briefly. If you hear that there is an area that's under a mandatory evacuation order, that is an order to leave your home immediately. That is an area that we close off and we restrict traffic to. We do hard closure roadblocks. We do not allow people to go in. It's because we feel that that area is in immediate and imminent threat of fire. We also have evacuation warnings that we issue. Those are areas that we feel there is a potential that the fire could move to if we see major drastic changes in the fire. And so we'll push out those warnings to give people as much advance notice as possible. If you get an evacuation warning, that is a clue to get that go bag that you already had put together, get that go bag ready, possibly even put it in your vehicle, make sure your vehicles are fueled up, and keep up your situational awareness. That means monitor a number of different news outlets. You want to listen to the radio, you want to look at television news, you want to tune into our Nevada County dashboard. You want to subscribe to things like our Twitter feed, both the Sheriff's Department as well as OES. Subscribe to our Facebook pages and follow those. These are all great outlets. There is no one tool for perfect information. You need to subscribe to a number of different tools, and you need to get the information coming in a number of different outlets so that you're fully informed of what's happening in your area. We want to talk a little bit about wildfire safety. We want you to stay situationally aware. Okay, we want you to find your 5. If you haven't already identified those 5, now is the time to do it. There's nothing like a crisis to get everybody in that mode of preparation and preparedness. So now is definitely the time to reach out to those 5 individuals that you already identified, start checking in with them, ask them about potential sheltering options. If you do have to evacuate your home, or if you're under a warning and there's a potential that you have to evacuate your home, we want to make sure that you have somewhere to go. We have our Director of Social Services on, Rachel Roos. She's going to talk here in a little bit about temporary evacuation points. But we all know that we've been living under COVID for a number of months, which makes sheltering a population extremely difficult. It complicates things immensely. So we want to make sure that those 5 folks that you have identified, that you're talking about potential sheltering options, that you have somewhere else to go. We also want to make sure that you understand how to use the Ready Nevada County dashboard. Please understand that this is a brand new tool. We just launched this tool approximately a month ago. This has been an incredibly handy tool, but it's not without its issues. It's technology. Anytime that you launch a new technology platform, there's going to be bugs. We're working through those. Our GIS team, I want to put a huge shout out to our GIS team. They stood this application up a month ago. This is the first time that we've used this during a live application. And I'm extremely impressed with the dedication of that team to keep the dashboard up and running. We have had a couple of instances where the dashboard went down. They were able to quickly get that dashboard back up. We're working hand in hand with our partners with the Sheriff's Search and Rescue Evacuation team. They're mapping in real time what's happening out there in the field, and then they're providing that information to us, which we then put up on our dashboard. But please, again, understand that we know that the dashboard is not without its troubles and its hiccups, and we're doing everything we can to patch those issues and to work through those. If I can, I'd like to share my screen and pull the dashboard up and just go through a couple of the features on the dashboard that we've heard some concern about. And I want to explain to people how to overcome some of the struggles and issues that they're having. Pascal, can you see my screen?
Absolutely. Perfect.
Is my screen visible?
Yes, your screen is visible.
Okay, so you'll see up on my screen, this is the Ready Nevada County dashboard, and the tab that I have active is the Wildfire and Evacuation Incident Dashboard. This is the most important tab right now since we have an active incident going on. As you can see, centered in this tab is a map of Nevada County depicting the area of Grass Valley and Nevada City, and just to the northwest of that. Indicated in the middle of these colored shapes, you'll see here is our fire perimeter. It's outlined in dark red with black slashes across it. That is the most up-to-date intelligence that we have as far as where the fire is currently at. Around that, you'll notice these immediate areas in pink. These are what we call our immediate evacuation order zones. If you've been monitoring this dashboard and you've been keeping up, you will have noticed that these zones have grown in size over the last 48 hours. As the fire has grown and the threat has gotten bigger, we've increased those mandatory evacuation order areas. Both to the north and to the southwest, you'll see the yellow shaded areas. Those are our evacuation warning areas. Those are the areas that we have put out code red notifications warning people of the potential of an evacuation. And then in the very southern edge here, you'll see that this is a green zone. Up until last night, that zone was also under an evacuation warning. However, in consultation with the fire department and law, they decided that it was safe to go ahead and lift that warning and to go ahead and allow people who had voluntarily chosen to leave that area to go ahead and come back into that area. So that area is no longer in a warning or order area. We've had some questions about being able to see and identify roads. I want to bring to everybody's attention that there is the ability to zoom. In the bottom right corner of the map, there's a plus and a minus. You can use that to zoom, or you can take your mouse and you can double click on the screen and it'll zoom into an area and it'll bring in those roads into more detail so that you can see those roads. You can zoom in and you can tell if an actual road is under an evacuation order or possibly in a warning area. For those folks that want to quickly be able to locate their address, in the upper right-hand corner of the map is several icons. The one on the left is a search bar. If you type in an address, like the Root Center here in Nevada City, it'll center the map over the Root Center and it'll highlight it in a teal color. So it'll bring you exactly to that location that you're looking for, which will help you identify whether or not your residence or a family member or a friend is within any of these evacuation zones, be it an order zone or a warning zone. On the left-hand side of the dashboard is a pane that has these different metrics. We tell you how many evacuation orders are currently out there, how many warnings, if there's any shelter-in-place orders, or how many evacuated shelters there are. At the bottom of that, there are a couple of arrows. If you click on one of those arrows, it'll take you to more metrics about the fire. As Chief Estes talked about, right now, the fire is at approximately 675 acres with a 5% containment. You'll notice that that containment changed. Yesterday, it was approximated at 20% containment, but because of a little bit of fire growth, that containment went down to 5%. This is not uncommon, and you'll see data like this change. It doesn't mean that the data is wrong. It just means that things are dynamic and they're constantly changing. So again, this is a good place to come to see what those changes are and how they might affect you. There's a legend immediately to the right of those metrics that explains what some of these icons are on the map. We have listed on there our animal shelters, which right now we have our animal shelter at the fairgrounds in Nevada County in Grass Valley. It'll also show you the location of the temporary evacuation points that we've set up. Right now we have 3 of those. And it'll indicate that fire perimeter that I talked about. I also want to draw your attention to the right side of this map. This is where you can find our OES Twitter feed. And it'll also give you information about code red alerts. If you want to see the text of a code red alert, you can pull up the 5 most recent code reds that went out. It gives you the option to listen to the audio message that accompanied that code red. You can also view the text of it by clicking view email message. Or if you want to see the actual area for which this code red went out, you can click on view the map and it'll pull that up. And as you can see on my screen, it's a mirror image of the evacuation warning that we put out late yesterday for that area just north of your county government center. We also have Nixle alerts on here for Truckee if we had an incident up in the Truckee area. But again, our Twitter feed is on here, and typically we will share Twitter feeds from sources such as CAL FIRE and the Sheriff's Office, OES. It's a great source of information up to date as far as what's going on, as fast as we can push that to you. And those are the high points that we've been getting a lot of questions about. I apologize, let me stop sharing my screen. Those are the high points as far as the dashboard for the concerns and the questions that we've been getting relating to that. We've also been getting questions about when can I go back to my house? When is it going to be safe to repopulate? Again, that dashboard is going to be the best location to see information as far as evacuation zones. If we're going to change an order zone to a warning zone, if we do that, you'll see that indicated on the dashboard. We will change the color of that zone, and you'll be able to zoom in or search for your address to see if that zone has changed. We will also, if we change an order area to a warning area, we will push out a code red and we will notify you that you are clear to repopulate your home, yet you'll still be under a warning area. So we'll push that information out in a number of different ways. We'll also push it out on our social media, and we'll push it out to the media at large. A number of people are calling in wanting to know if their house is okay. We want to let you know that the County of Nevada, along with the Sheriff's Department, OES, and CAL FIRE, we're currently conducting damage assessments, but understand that the fire is still very active. It's dangerous to send people into this area to do comprehensive damage assessments, so that information is still being compiled now. Once we have these damage assessments, we'll begin to message those areas of damage, and our intent is to create a public resource for up-to-date information so that folks can find out if they live in this area, whether or not their homes were affected by this. We're setting up a system to provide resources for those folks who have sustained damage or a total loss. We've also been getting questions about, why didn't I get the code red? Code red is dependent many times on where you're at. Depending on where we draw the line, code red is a great system, but it's not a perfect system. You'll notice if you zoom in on those evacuation areas, many of our areas are very close, such as Morgan Ranch, where an evacuation order area butted right up to an evacuation warning area. We got calls from people that said that they got both the order and the warning. Again, that's where the dashboard can come in extremely handy. You can zoom in and you can delineate and tell whether or not you're in the order area or the warning area. This time, I think I'm going to turn it over to our Director of Social Services, Rachel Roos, and she can explain to you the concept of the temporary evacuation points, and she can give you information about where those locations are and what type of services you can expect there.
Great, thank you so much. I feel like I learned a lot. Actually, I've been in, I've been with Bob Jacobs for the last 2 days, but I just learned a lot about that dashboard that I didn't know previously, so thank you. I also wanted just to give a huge thank you to county staff who have been staffing those temporary evacuation points and also our cooling centers for the last 4 days. And there are people who've been working around the clock, literally around the clock, to make sure that those facilities are available for people who are in need. So just a big thank you there. So I wanted to talk a little bit about the difference between a temporary evacuation point versus a traditional shelter. This is a new system for us. It's also a new system for the American Red Cross. And we're working together, I think, really well to navigate that system, but we are trying to keep, our citizens safe, both physically safe and well, and also provide any shelter needs, provide for any shelter needs. So We want folks to stay healthy out there. And just in this combination of wildfire, COVID crisis, and heat emergency, we are trying to balance all of those needs. So right now, we do have cooling centers open. We've had cooling centers open, as I mentioned, since Saturday. Currently, we have a Grass Valley Charter School that will be staffed as a cooling center. What that means is there'll be cold water available, there'll be air conditioning available, there'll be seating available. We are doing COVID screenings as well. That center will be staffed from 12 until 8 today. That's our only independent cooling center at this time. The temporary evacuation points can also serve as cooling centers if people are in need in those areas. So a temporary evacuation point that currently is available, we currently have those available at Ready Springs Elementary School in Penn Valley. We also have another one at Alder Creek School in Truckee, and we have a third location available at Cottage Hill in South County. And actually, let me just take a minute to say a big thank you to our school staff. Our local school staff in all areas of our county have come together and provided janitorial staff, facilities staff, administrative staff to help us meet the needs in those areas. So with a temporary evacuation point, what we're looking to do in cooperation with the Red Cross is make sure that people have information, make sure that people have snacks and cold water, and that they have the information they need to make sure that their animals' needs are cared for as well as their own sheltering needs. So we're really looking to find out, we're really looking to help people identify where they might be able to go, and if they're unable to go, if they don't have family or friends in the area, or they're not able to shelter in other locations, these temporary evacuation points really are meant to be, as stated in the name, temporary. So Red Cross is finding shelter in hotels, not necessarily local hotels. What we're finding is mostly people are, mostly the hotel rooms that are available right now are in the Marysville and Yuba City area, some in Truckee as well, and some in the Sacramento and Chico areas. So there are a number of emergencies. I know we've talked about this on this panel already, a number of emergencies throughout the state of California. And so the American Red Cross is really pooling all of their resources to get needs met. We currently have 89 people housed by the American Red Cross in different, or sheltered in different temporary locations, hotel rooms. That's about 40 hotel rooms total. There have been many more people than that served at the transitional or at the temporary evacuation points and triaged. And some people are choosing to stay in their cars with animals, or to stay closer to their homes in case they are repopulated sooner rather than later. And we are available providing food, providing, as I said, information. I think that covers it. I definitely want to remind people to call 211 if you have any information. We are keeping our stats updated. We're making sure that people who come into the temporary evacuation points know where to get information, that they know how to use the dashboard. We have been helping people also access the mobile app, and hopefully we can talk a little bit about that because I know that that has been a stressor for some people, trying to access it when all they have are their phones. And so we will continue to staff those locations throughout this emergency. We'll definitely be there through today and tomorrow at all 3 locations. And again, sorry, go ahead and dial 211 for any information needs, for any resource needs, and they will help connect you to social services in the area, help connect you to American Red Cross, help connect you to the temporary evacuation points if you're not sure where they are or what they can help with. So yeah, we just really want people to stay safe, and we want to get you connected. If you need anything at all, please visit one of those points or call 211.
Thank you so much, Rachel. So the most of the questions are that we are getting are, when can we go back home? Has the fire jumped Highway 49? I think we've addressed that numerous times. And also, right now we have a power outage that's affecting parts of Grass Valley, and the 174 corridor. It is not related to the fire. It is not a rolling blackout, so it's probably just an unplanned outage. But Chief Estes, could you maybe address the what the situation is and when people, if there's population, if there's any consideration of that?
Yes, thanks, Pascal. So real quick, and I've been watching these questions come in, and so maybe I could try to answer a few of them real quickly, and then I'll shift to the repopulation thing with Sheriff Moon. But so the fire has not crossed Highway 49. Our objectives, as they've been from the beginning, are to keep the fire from crossing Highway 49, the fire from crossing Jones Bar Road, the fire from crossing Newtown Road on the south, and the fire from crossing the main South Fork of the Yuba. So the fire is at the edge of Highway 49 toward the top of the drainage, and it did hit Newtown Road, and we had a couple small spots across Newtown, but we've held it at Newtown Road in a fairly small section, as you saw when Lieutenant Jacobs showed you the map. That top end of the fire there is squared off. That's where it hit Newtown Road, but it has not crossed any of our control lines to this point. So as Lieutenant Jacobs and Sheriff Moon were talking about, before we do the repopulation, the first thing that the Unified Incident Commanders do is look at, number one, what is the threat for the fire to continue to expand and negatively impact those communities. We never want to evacuate people twice, and we realize that it's an inconvenience, and we take that inconvenience and we understand your frustration. We take it very, very seriously, and we're discussing it each and every day, trying to be as proactive as possible. And I think you saw that by the fact that we lifted the evacuation warning this morning for that Grass Valley area. So once that fire threat has been mitigated, and that's not quite there yet, then we'll look at the other elements. For instance, is the infrastructure, as PG&E reset the lines, do we have, any propane issues? So once they make sure that the area is safe, then the Sheriff's Office can go ahead and reduce that from a order to a warning and start to repopulate. We also have to make sure the road systems are able to handle that incoming traffic. When we do hard closures like the one that's in place at Newtown and 49, we have to make sure that there's been no negative impact to the road system, down tree lines, potential for things like that. So it is a little more complicated than just lifting the evacuation order, but it is something we discuss every single morning throughout the day and close every night out with that, and it is a priority for us. Anything else, Pascal, on that?
If I unmute myself, it's much easier. No, thank you.
Yeah. Real quick, I'm sorry, and I saw one that just came in from, looks like Greg Archibald, and he's asking about the Cement Hill evacuation order expansion. Really, we had, as I said earlier, we had two spot fires kind of at the heel and up one of the flanks of the fire yesterday in the heat of the day that caused us some concern about the fire running up the left flank and crossing 49 and negatively impacting the Cement Hill area. So that is why we expanded that evacuation area with the Sheriff's Office. Those spot fires were contained late afternoon with the use of very aggressive aviation resources. We got dozers all the way to the bottom and hand crews to the bottom and contained those spots. So we're very happy about that.
Perfect. And Sheriff Moon, can you talk a little bit? We get quite a few questions also via the email of people concerned about the safety, especially if they have evacuated, about safety of their homes, about possible, there are rumors of looting going around.
Yeah, absolutely, Pascal. Clearly that's a concern for us, and that's the reason for the mutual aid request from our law enforcement partners to making sure that we could accomplish those roving patrols in all of the areas that we've have under that evacuation order. Countless staff from around our region coming to help us with that. We've had no reports of any theft in that area. We've had, again, probably more police presence, law enforcement presence in some of those areas than most people have seen in a normal day-to-day activity in Nevada County. Because clearly that's a priority and a goal for us, is to making sure that we keep those areas secured while folks are out of their homes. You know, the questions about when we're going to repopulate, and you know, the minute we provide an evacuation order, we start a repopulation plan, because that's our #1 goal. It's a big decision to ask people to leave their homes. We've been on that plan. We're in joint command with our fire partners and making sure that it's a safe decision. And a lot of that has to do with the infrastructure. And we see a lot of the comments on the chat about the power and PG&E, and that's a big question, right, that we want to make sure that we have addressed before any repopulation is allowed. And again, we really need to make sure that we keep the roadways clear for the suppression, you know, you see the fire apparatus and the trucks. There's not a lot of room on some of our county roads, so making sure that it's safe and they don't have to you know, worry about, you know, cross traffic and the community being inside. I saw some questions about being able to go back in and check on animals. You know, animals are very important to us here in Nevada County. We understand that, and that also is a priority. So on day one, when we first started the evacuations, we stood up our animal evacuation area over at the fairgrounds, over at Gate 8. We have a wonderful group of dedicated volunteers with the Nevada County Animal Evacuation Group, along with the animal control officers from my office, doing a tremendous job over there. The reality of that is just making sure if you have a question about getting back in, you know, we can do some safe escorts for that, especially for some of those large animals. You can either contact folks over there at Gate 8 at the fairgrounds, or the animal evacuation phone number. We'll put that out on social media and make sure everybody has it. But the phone number I was given was area code 530-557-5474. So that would be a great resource if you have an animal question, maybe need to get an escort in to check on animals if we evacuated in haste, and we really want to make sure that we have safety for our animals out there. Any other questions, Pascal, that you want me to address?
I'm going through the questions that we got from on the town hall email, and we have for you, it is a lot of the questions are as well, if you would be willing and able to help people once it's safe to return. So for people to get back, because of course a lot of your officers saved, helped with evacuations, and now people are asking if they also can have help when it's safe to go back and when the evacuations are lifted.
Yeah, absolutely. We're not going to just pack up and leave once we get the all clear from the fire. We're going to stay in the community, and we're going to make sure that we're available for whatever services our community needs to get back into their homes. Like I said, once we make an evacuation order, you know, step 2 for that order is repopulation plan, and making sure that we do just as much on the front end or on the back end as we did on the front end, to making sure people get back into their residences.
Great. And if we can, if you could put that phone number that you referenced, if that could be, if somebody could put that in the chat, please. And then, of course, people want to go back, and they also want to be safe. And then we are getting more questions about the what the confirmed structures are, and a lot of questions about the John Woolman Center. Is there anybody who can definitively speak to that one?
I'll speak first to it, and then I'll turn it over to either Shannon or Bob. So the Woolman School was impacted fairly heavily by the fire. The firefighters did an amazing job in protecting and saving the majority of the historic and large permanent structures and infrastructure around the school. There was some destruction to some outbuildings and some of the smaller cabins. Our damage inspection team just finished up yesterday with the specifics on that and is working with the county and with the sheriff's office to ensure that we have that information accurate so that that information can be released.
Yeah, and just to add to that, we have talked with a couple of homeowners, just because they already knew. So some folks out there already know, and so it's not necessarily whether we're releasing anything. Individual folks. The reality is if you have a very specific question about whether my home survived, the 211, provide your contact information. As soon as we can get the damage estimates confirmed, we'll be making some contacts with folks and try to resolve some of that angst, because I'm sure it's out there, and I know we hear you, and I just put that on priority one for our team. Was there last night, and just to reiterate with them that is the priority for today for us.
Perfect. Thank you very much. Can we talk a little bit about the with the expanded evacuation area? There is now there are now several calls for people to actually leave some accesses to the river closed. So because the advisory zone right now goes all the way to Edwards Crossing. And has that been done out of concern that if there are too many people at the river, if there are spot fires, that it's too hard for people to get out and for firefighters to get in?
Yeah. Joint Command, when we're making those decisions, it's exactly what we think of. We look at not only the terrain for getting that large apparatus. Clearly we've seen whether it's the increases from COVID, whether it's the people that just really enjoy our community and our river. I've lived here for I'm not going to tell you how old I am, but I've lived here my whole life, and I've been enjoying the river. It's one of the reasons why I stay in this community. Just not just the beautiful nature of our community, but we've seen a lot of impacts the last few months with a lot of traffic, both at the Edwards and Purdon areas, not to mention up in the Bowman Lake area, Bowman Lake Road area. So, those are the things we think of when we look at those lines, making those decisions, listening with our fire experts on fire behavior and what the best locations for some of those lines were. Last night, looking at the impacts and listening to our fire experts talking about the fire behavior, that's why the advisory levels went farther north in the city of Grass Valley, to making sure that the impacts that advisory was having on some of the infrastructure of the city of Grass Valley was relieved, so we could focus on a lot of the questions that I've seen on the chat line here is where is the fire headed right now? And Chief Estes, I know you said at the very beginning, maybe we could just do another brief look at where the conditions of the fire are currently and what our planning, what we were all told this morning on what our plans are for today for how we're going to suppress this thing.
Yeah, just to reiterate, I saw a number of those questions regarding where is the fire headed. So I would say we're very secure with the impact to the top end of Newtown and the top end of Jones Bar as to keeping that area contained. Our number one concern right now is if we look at the bottom of the drainage being the heel of the fire, meaning the bottom, and then Newtown being the top of the fire, and looking at that from north to south, the left side of the fire in that threat to crossing 49 in impacting the upper part of Highway 49 is our #1 priority, period. And that's where we are committing a lot of our resources. Simultaneously, like I said, we got dozers into the bottom across the creek and worked hand crews from the top and dozers from the bottom to try to secure the right flank or the right side of the fire as it comes out of the canyon and ties into essentially just down slope from Jones Bar Road. So our #1 priority is the left flank of the fire. That's what's going to be most impacted by our daily gradient winds in the afternoon, and that's where we're committing most of our resources. Right now, we are holding things within the containment lines. You know, and one of the things that we have to understand is that when we give those containment percentages of 5, 10, 15, 20, 30, et cetera, you know, that's when we can stand back and say that if we do nothing except monitor it, that fire will not move. That's not where we're at right now. We are holding the fire within retardant lines from the aircraft or keeping it in check with ground resources, but that potential still exists until we actually get those flanks secured.
And just touching real quick on the Yuba River crossings and that, I know early on in the fire, state parks closed down all that area. So I think they're doing a pretty good job keeping folks out of that area.
Yes, but there's still there's a lot of people that are like saying, please close the rivers, close Purdon, close Edwards, just out of safety concerns. And but that is probably a decision that either state parks for Purdon and BLM for Edwards would have to be involved in that. And could we go back one more time, Rachel, with the resources? If you could, so 211 is the best way to start out to get help, be that to evacuate, to later on when it's repopulation time. And also, we now have a very large power outage, and with the heat, people are incredibly concerned now. So could you just briefly recap this, please?
Yeah, absolutely. So, and we are working, we just, since we've been on the call, I've been working on figuring out an alternate plan for the cooling center in Grass Valley. We are we're going to try and get that covered with generators and see what we can do about making sure that that is available to people. So more to be determined on that. That's really a new development, this power outage. So right now, the Cottage Hill TEP and the Alder Creek TEP are not experiencing power outages. So those are still available as cooling centers or temporary evacuation points. So we encourage people to go there, and we'll make sure that we get information to 211 and get information up on the websites and out to the public just as soon as possible when we know if anything changes with that Grass Valley Charter School cooling center today.
All right, great. And we're also getting a lot of questions about can we get a new perimeter map and a perimeter map that shows the evacuation zones at the same time, and where are the best ways to get those so that they can be widely distributed?
Yeah, Pascal, I can take that. It's Lieutenant Jacobs. So again, if you go to the Ready Nevada County dashboard, those evacuation zones, both the order zones and the warning zones, are depicted on that main map. The perimeter fire, or the fire perimeter, is also indicated on that map. It's outlined in dark red, and it has the black slashes through it. I'm seeing that we are getting a number of questions as far as why did the fire perimeter not change from yesterday to today? It did change slightly. The fire grew about 100 acres. And so when you're looking at a map like that, there's not going to be a significant noticeable change in the fire perimeter itself. Like Chief Estes said, a lot of the southernmost portion of that fire, they have under control. So the majority of the fire that's burning out of control is more in the northerly area, down in that Highway 49 Rush Creek Canyon area. So that's where most of the efforts are being concentrated at this point. But we are doing our best to keep that fire perimeter map updated. We have folks from the Emergency Operations Center that are attending all the CAL FIRE briefings and looking for updates on that fire perimeter. We are working with our GIS folks to continually keep that fire perimeter up to date, because we know that that is a concern with people. They want to know where the fire is and where exactly is it in relation to our house. So we are doing everything we can to try to keep that updated. Another helpful tip for folks that are using the dashboard, if you utilize Google Chrome, we found that Google Chrome seems to be one of the most stable browsers for using the dashboard. Avoid Internet Explorer. It does not seem to work well on Internet Explorer. Firefox seems to work pretty well. Occasionally, you may have to go in and clear out what they call your browser cache. If you don't know how to do that, it's simple to just Google, how do I clear my browser cache? I did it yesterday and it took me probably less than 2 minutes. So little tips and tricks like that will help. I've also seen a number of questions and comments regarding the mobile application not being super friendly. So if you're using your cell phone and you go to the Ready Nevada County dashboard, you're going to notice that a lot of those panels are very compressed and it's hard to see information. If you click on the very left edge, it'll open up the slider bar and you touch the thing that says link. If you click that link, it'll immediately take you to the mobile friendly version, and it opens up that map to almost the entire size of your screen. And then you can use your fingers to zoom in and out just like you would if you were using a mouse on a PC. So hopefully those tips will aid people in using that dashboard a little more effectively.
And I would also like to point out that we got quite a few people who just want to say thank you. Thank you to the firefighters, thank you to law enforcement, and to everybody who is working on this. And that is very much Nevada County. That's very much the spirit of Nevada County. And we have, there is now a lot of chatter about the various outages, the PG&E outages, but people are also wanting to go back in to just grab a few things they either forgot or they have they left some animals there. And can we briefly touch on the animal evacuations as well, and if there is anything that people need to know about those?
Yeah, I'll take that, Pascal. You know, the running back in for you know, quick items. You know, we just, unfortunately, we just don't have time in the staffing to be able to accommodate you know, a lot of those requests. You know, prescription medication. If we didn't have a go bag and if we weren't quite prepared enough, you know, calling your doctor or getting your prescriptions refilled, those types of things are going to have to be accomplished. Animals. You know, we do take the safety of animals very serious. And again, if you want to go down to the animal evacuation area, which is at the fairgrounds at gate 8, so right there on that Brighton Street side of the fairgrounds there at McCourtney, and check in with folks and put in a request there. We put the phone number up on the web chat so folks could call in. Of course, we crashed it and the recorder's full. So, you know, we'll continually put those things out. We'll start doing a little bit more scheduled information out on, we've been providing the information to not only Pascal here, but our friends over at KNCO and KBMR to try and get out as much information clearly for folks that aren't as technical or technology gifted as Lieutenant Jacobs. When he says, click here and Google this and cache this, he lost me. So recognize, you know, not everybody's in that arena, and we want to make sure we have as much information out for everyone in our community, and not you know, it's a broad brush, it's a layers of information, and not one of them are perfect, but if we do enough on all sides, we'll hopefully get enough of that information out. Some of the questions I saw in the chat were about how will I know if my power's out to evacuate. We have the other layers that we have, not only with that code red notification. If you know, I say when you have power, make sure your devices are all charged. That's part of the pre-planning. But if you find yourself without a power with a device, or if the infrastructure for the internet is down, what you're going to see from your
So I think that Shannon, I don't know about everybody else, but Shannon, you are frozen here. What is ah, and I believe that right now the root center probably just lost power, and that those 20 seconds in between when they lose the power and their generator comes on, I'm pretty sure they will all log back on. So by the way, I would also like to apologize that we could not stream this on YouTube. There is apparently a new protocol, and YouTube did not, they just kicked off the stream. So it is live on Facebook. And I am also, so I would like to personally apologize because we organized this meeting, and my bad, my fault. So because I know that a lot of people are trying to say to get on the meeting, watch it, but this is not a fault. This is not the dashboard. It's not a fault of Nevada County. So this is on me. This is on Ubernet, and hopefully
We'll forgive you, Pascal.
thank you, Terry. It's good to hear. By the way, I just finally got an update from PG&E that is saying that 10,985 people are out of power. It is an unscheduled outage. It goes from Alta Sierra through Cedar Ridge, Union Hill, Grass Valley, up to Nevada City, Blue Tent, Willow Valley, Scotts Flat. Everybody is out, and we have no time of restoration yet. So if you still have power, charge, like Bobby just said before, charge your devices. Be ready, because we still have a ways to go. And Terry, while we are well, it's just the two of us. Can we, could we maybe talk a little bit, because Nevada County Consolidated is in unified command with CAL FIRE on this, and how?
Yeah,
how talk a little bit about how that works.
Sure. So we're in unified command with CAL FIRE, and we work closely with all our neighboring agencies. The fire actually is burning in the Nevada County Consolidated Fire District, and and also partially into the Penn Valley Fire District. So maybe a quick update to our to the folks about the local fire districts. Nevada County Consolidated, Grass Valley, and Nevada City operate in a joint operational area. Every in-service piece of equipment is in service and on the road right now. We would normally have 7 engines or apparatus available on any given day. We have 9 right now. And bear in mind, we still have a strike team out in the Angeles National Forest, so that's taken a few people out. So out of our 34 employees, 31 are on duty for the foreseeable future. 2 are out on injury, and 1 is out of town. So our mechanics also are working around the clock to keep our equipment on the road. And in fact, today, the one piece of equipment we have out of service, they're actually replacing the transmission. So they're on their way to Modesto to pick one up and hopefully have it back on the road tonight. All our chief officers are on duty. And like I said, we work hand in hand with our neighboring agencies. I talked to the Penn Valley Fire Chief, Chief Wagner, and Penn Valley has a staff of 12. So 3/4 of their staff is on duty covering their stations, and 1/4 of their staff is assigned to the fire. And they're kind of in the same situation as us. All but 3 of their folks are on duty. And we will be staffing for the foreseeable future. And maybe some just quick kind of different things from what we've been talking about. When we fight fires in our local area, our law enforcement partners, our firefighters that live in the area, it's kind of tough on them, because not only are we working, law enforcement working to evacuate folks, and our firefighters, of course, are staffing equipment, it's the families, how our spouses, our loved ones, it's kind of difficult to not drop what we're doing and what we're supposed to be doing to go help them. So it's a little different when you live in the area where the fire is affecting you. One other quick thing I'd like to add is I'd like to see everybody use our social media outlets, whether it's Ubinet, the radio stations, KVMR, KNCO, the Union. We ask you not to call the fire district's offices or the fire stations for updates on the incident. The last few days here in our office, we have been just overwhelmed with calls, and of course that ties up our phone line for when we do need to call out and get information out. So we ask you use our local media, and that's all I have for right now.
Hey, you know what? Thank you very much. And we have the Root Center contingent is back online. So I'm so glad that it's just not my network that has hiccups every once in a while. So can we just maybe briefly recap one more time? If the power is out, how will I know that I have to evacuate now, Shannon?
Yeah, I thought maybe I crashed the system.
You did.
Here.
Yeah.
That happens a lot. The power outage really affects a lot of how people get notified. What we're also experiencing, it's a layered notification. We like to use the code red. It's a very quick, easy, fast, effective way to notify folks. The next layer of that is the officers, deputies out in the neighborhoods going door to door. This couple of months ago, Office of Emergency Services, we launched the tags, the Nevada County evacuated tag. So once you evacuate, place this tag on your gate, your mailbox, your address marker, so that law enforcement knows that you've already evacuated. That helps when we're looking at time restraints, right? When we're driving down those driveways, you don't have to go down a long driveway. You already see the tag. So we've seen some people display those tags during this evacuation, so that's good to know. The other important piece in the situational awareness, not only are the officers very specifically in that neighborhood doing those evacuations, they're going to have that high-low siren on. And we talked a lot last year about the high-low siren across the state evacuation using the high-low siren. So it doesn't matter if you're on vacation, you're in a new area, you hear that high-low siren, very distinctive siren. You're not going to hear that siren for anything else unless it's to evacuate. We were using that high-low siren quite a bit yesterday and on Monday. So those are the ways in which you know. If you hear that, it's because it's an order to evacuate. But clearly, if you're going to be right on that line, and we talked about the imperfect code red, the areas for evacuation, order, and advisory, clearly it could be literally, it's a line drawn on a map. So some people say, should I leave if I get a warning? The warning is meant to say, this is another ability for you to increase your preparedness. Nothing says that if you don't feel safe, you can evacuate whenever you want. I have family that were not in the order area. They were not in the advisory area. They chose to evacuate because they just felt better to do that. And I say that's your comfort. That's your comfort level. Just checking in with your friends and family, that 5, making sure they know that you've already evacuated, so they're not worried about you, especially if they live outside the area. We have a lot of folks that say, my parents live in Nevada County, they're from out of the area, concerned and those things. So making sure, all those are the layers of that notification. But if you're in the advisory area, if you can pull up the map on the dashboard, put in your address, you'll see on the map whether you're in an order or an advisory. If you're not technically able to do that with the internet's down, your ability, you can't get on those things, clearly we understand that. Call 211, give them your address and say, which area am I in? Am I in an order? Am I in an advisory? That's the best way to really be able to make sure that you're staying in that situational awareness for yourself and your families. And as soon as, like I said, our plan when we evacuate is to repopulate and wanting to do that as soon as possible, but as safe as possible. The last thing we want to do is have people go back in and then be in any type of dangerous situation. For our first responders, for our suppression effort, that's our #1 priority right now, is to get this fire out, and giving them the ability and the space to be able to do that is critical for us. So those are my last few comments. The move of the incident command here from the Rood Center over to the fairgrounds. We talked about that a lot yesterday. If you were anywhere near this Rood Center parking lot, you'd see why. Logistically, we've just overrun the entire area, and it's impacting just the county services, folks coming in, the tight roadways, all those different things, and we've got to be able to feed firefighters and first responders out there. They need a heck of a lot more room. And putting them over there at the fairgrounds is the right thing to do. So we're seeing a lot of that movement. Right now, we are not evacuating the Wayne Brown Correctional Facility. I've got close to 180 folks under our care and custody over there at our county jail. We're not evacuating the area. We've been in contact with making sure our incarcerated knows and their families know to make sure that we get as much information out there for them as well, and just working hand in hand, incident command with our firefighter experts, and just a huge shout out for our firefighters, both from CAL FIRE and Consolidated Nevada City Grass Valley Fire Departments, all of our local folks here, Penn Valley, Higgins, all up and down, Paradale, Chicago Park, just a huge amount of support. And then when you look at that mutual aid across the state, and I know everybody's looking for resources, it's truly amazing, and so grateful to live here and work with the folks that we have on this team, and looking forward to being able to get everybody back in their homes. Mm-hmm.
All right, thank you. And I would like to point out that the National Weather Service has just issued a red flag warning for the area for all of Nevada County, a significant area that basically goes from Redding down to South Lake Tahoe. And who is trying to share their screen?
Pascal, that's me, Lieutenant Jacobs.
Yeah, could you just bump that off, because I wanted to do something different there.
Sure.
There is this red flag warning has now is extended until Thursday at 9 a.m. And yes, on the Ready Nevada County, there you can see as well the red flag warning that is also a shade. And actually, we had a few people that are asking that now everything is pink. That does not mean that is a mandatory evacuation. That is just the red flag warning. So that's just to be precise for that. And I think we we have to do another one of these. We probably could do one of these every day, and obviously we will have more capacity, and we're going to have the YouTube and Facebook feeds figured out ahead of time. And if there are more questions, we will repost a lot of the links that have been given. And again, when in doubt, 211.
Hey, Pascal, just real quick, a couple of questions I saw was Lake Vera has been drained, and that's down at the camps, which is, I believe, normal about this time of the year or shortly after. So the camps didn't have any campers this year because of COVID. And so I'm going to try and get some information from them, but it's my guess that it's just time to drain that lake, and they pay for the water that supplies that lake from NID. And with no money coming in, I think that's probably what it is, but I'll try and get an answer and pass it on to you today.
Yeah, that would be, yes, because Lake Vera, just for those who are not familiar with the area, Lake Vera is also a very shallow lake that, for example,
Yes.
could not be used by the helicopters to dip out, because really there's, I think in the middle there is a channel that's maybe 5 or 6 feet deep, but the rest it's over the years there has been a lot of sedimentation, so it's more of a wading pool.
And
Right.
can I speak just really briefly to a few questions that are coming in as well? We're getting a lot of questions, and not just here, but throughout the week we've been getting a lot of questions about how people can help. And I just think it's an amazing community that we live in, that so many people are evacuated and so many people are asking how they can be of service to others. And so I'm grateful. It's a little bit of a strange situation for us due to the pandemic. So we're not able, and Red Cross and the county at the at the temporary evacuation points are not able to take donations of goods or services, volunteers right now. The Red Cross is sending volunteers. We have county staff. For people who want to help, I'll try and get more information about concrete ways. We'll try to get that out to people. Concrete ways that you can be helpful. For now, my recommendation is to donate to the Red Cross. They're providing a lot of support for us here. And then also a lot of our local community-based organizations that serve animals are involved right now in supporting our community. They're providing, they're providing food and crates and leashes and everything that animals need, or that people need, in order to take care of their animals while they're evacuated. So I would say support those organizations as well, and reach out to them and see if there's ways that you can be helpful. And I'll try and get more information out, because a lot of people are asking. So thank you.
Perfect, thank you.
And sorry, we also
Go ahead.
did just get notification that the power's back on at the cooling center at Grass Valley Charter. So that will be open today from 12 to 8.
Perfect, yes, and power has been restored to most of the areas that I see on the PG&E map, so that was a fast outage. And again, everybody will try to do this again, hopefully once a day, because obviously there are a lot of people who need more information, want more information, and we all have to get familiar with the various platforms and where to find the information. So I would like to thank everybody, Sheriff Moon, Lieutenant Jacobs, our fire marshal, our very own Terry McMahon, Chief Estes, Allison, Rachel, everybody. Thank you everybody so much for being here. Again, apologies for the technical difficulties. We'll do better next time. Be safe, everybody.